Hello everybody, welcome to Snyder's Inc. And today we have got a very interesting video. We got 5 clips for horror part 8 because apparently my stupid ass forgot to do part 8. It was like part 7, then part 9. I forgot about 8. So we gonna fix that by doing 8 now. This is Road of Terror from Tragedy Tales by a watcher of the channel. Good to see you, Tragedy Tales. You're doing very well. Good content that I'm gonna keep reacting to. You pulling out good shit, and I love it. Love reacting to it. We're gonna get right into it. Ladies and gentlemen, hit the like button, subscribe button, comment, stick down below. Let's go!
Life is like breath on a mirror. Here 1 minute and gone the next. So treasure your life, treasure your friends and your family, and don't take anything for granted, because it can all be taken away at a moment's notice. But hey folks, welcome back to the channel. As always, my name's Ryan from Tragedy Tales, and this week, yet again, we're going to take a look at 5 haunting pieces of footage ranging from the terrifying Versailles wedding hall disaster to a baby reveal gone terribly wrong. As always, let's get right into it. A wedding is supposed to be the happiest day of your life. It's supposed to bring together 2 people, 2 families, together for the foreseeable future. You never expect that on your wedding day, a disaster would occur, leaving your friends and family dead. Sadly, however, in this case,
We've seen this clip before. I know exactly what this clip is. This clip is one of the most insane things I've ever witnessed. This is the one, because I'm pretty sure, right, this is the one where, like, they made the because of a half-ass built 3rd floor, the way they built it, it fucking collapses, right? Just the fucking floor goes in, and fuck, it's just a fucking hole there, pretty much, after the video, we run up to it. Oh my god, it left so many people, I think, dead and shit, like, it was so fucked up. Oh, this video fucking haunted me.
this nightmare scenario unfolded. This tragedy begins in Talpiot, West Jerusalem, Israel, on the warm evening of May the 24th, 2001. That day, it was finally the wedding of 26-year-old Keren and 24-year-old Asaf Dror. Together, they'd planned this day meticulously, ensuring that nothing could go wrong. From the decorations to ensuring a strict timeline of events, everything was planned to the minutest of details. However, neither of them could prepare for what was about to happen. On the morning of May the 24th, 2001, Keren and Asaf met at the altar, sealing their love with a kiss. After confetti was thrown, it was time for the reception. As the evening settled, the 700 or so wedding guests began flooding into the Versailles wedding hall, a large 3-story building built specially for these kind of events, located in West Jerusalem. Now, for a bit of background, ever since Israel formed in 1948, housing was the biggest issue. With the way that they were constructing things, they just couldn't keep up with the amount of people entering the country. So, in 1970, a new method of constructing buildings was invented, named the Pal-Cal system.
This is what it was, the Pal-Cal system, the thing that fucked over a bunch of times. I think if I remember correctly, this caused like a bunch of people, a bunch of things that have to like do work and like get fixed it. Or that might be a different situation I was dealing with, I'm thinking of. Because I know there was one that led to like a whole fucking system or a whole way of constructing being like fixed.
Using this system, buildings in Israel were constructed using thin layers of cement rather than thick steel reinforcements. While this construction method seemed to be a breakthrough in the effort to build more houses more quickly and cheaper, it had its downsides. Pal-Cal ceilings have a very strict load and do not allow early detection of problems like cracks and corrosion. In this case, the Versailles wedding hall was built extremely fast using the Pal-Cal method. When the hall's design was first drawn up, it originally featured 3 floors on one side and 2 floors on the other. Later, however, it was decided that the building would instead be 3 floors concurrently, so a 3rd floor was added after it was basically finished building. Because this 3rd floor was added as sort of an afterthought, a crucial calculation was missed. They forgot to account for the people being on the floor, as well as the weight of the building and the roof. As the night of May the 24th went on, approximately 700 guests were on the 3rd floor. Tables were positioned around the room to give the guests a large dance floor. Videos captured that evening showed guests dancing their hearts away until approximately 10:30 p.m. This photo was captured, food had been served, and it shows a happy bride dancing with friends and families, their faces etched with smiles. As the guests danced, drinking alcohol, having fun, some noted that the floor was bowing several inches, something that the owners had noticed on another occasion, causing them to install partitions and correct the sagging floors. However, shortly after this installation, the owners, believing that the issue was purely cosmetic, decided to have these partitions removed. However,
they're like, man, the floor is carving in. And then they're like, okay, we'll put some partition to make sure it stays balanced. And then about a minute later, they're like, well, it hasn't collapsed. Well, you know what? We look at the partition and realize that, we don't know if it's actually going to work. So just take them down. Take them down for you know when we'll deal with it? When it caves in. If it caves in, we'll deal with it. That's when we'll get involved.
By correcting the floors by adding reinforcement concrete, it actually did the opposite. It added more dead weight to the already sagging floor, and it was also found that days before the wedding, the Hall owners intentionally removed a dividing wall placed on the 2nd floor. Now, this wall wasn't even supposed to be supporting anything at all, so they removed it. But in doing so, they unintentionally removed the last support for the floor above.
I swear to God, these guys are like, hey, how can we make this floor cave in even more? Okay, let's see. Let's remove anything that could keep it up. Okay, we'll move that pillar, we'll move that pillar, we'll move, this is the one we're joining wall, it might be holding it up. Let's remove that. Then who knows, that might cave in, and we'll deal with it when we get to it. We'll just, what's the worst that could happen? I don't know, we'll get about 700 people entering. Nah, I'll be fine, we don't need any help. Like, I swear to God, these guys are just trying to make this floor collapse. They were wanting the event to happen.
Just 10 minutes later, a reverberation bellowed through the floors. This video was recorded, and of course, you guys know how it be. I can't show it all because of the guidelines, but it shows a full room of wedding guests having a brilliant time. It's clear that the room and floor were way
I swear I've seen the video before, so I don't think it's like, unless I missed it, I don't know if it's how much of a guideline thing it is, because I've seen it a few different times.
past capacity, and then all the guests began jumping in a song-like rhythm. Something had to give, and in this case, it was the floor. Without a second's warning, the center of the hall collapsed, sending approximately 400 people tumbling through the air.
The most insane, that would be the most scary. I don't know what I've, because if I'm the person going down, all you know is you're just fucking going down. You don't even, it's probably a blink and you miss it moment where you're just on the dance floor jumping around dancing and you fucking go down. And you probably either dead or you about to be fucking injured because you about to hit some fucking have a hard bad fall. If you're the person who's not where it collapses and you're just having a good time and you just see the fucking floor collapse and everyone just goes down and you just watch the death of you have seen the possible death, or in this case the actual death, the final moments of your thing, and you just watch the floor just break. That would be the most terrifying thing I could imagine. God. Look at that.
As it tumbled, the weight of the third floor was no match for the floors below it, tumbling through them like a hot knife through butter, coming to a rest on the ground floor. As they fell, Guests were showered in cement, debris, twisted metal, and dust, burying many underneath. The tables around the edges of the room seemed to stop them collapsing through. Some guests were able to grab their children, leaving them standing on high ledges, peering down into the
Oh my
pile.
god, that's actually the most terrifying. No, that's terrifying. That looks terrifying. That would not, oh god, I would not know what to do if I was in that position. Oh my god.
But there was no time to rest. Hundreds of people were now trapped beneath rubble. What should have been a day filled with happiness and joy was now filled with death and tragedy. At first, the guests believed that a bomb had gone off, but it was quickly discovered that this wasn't the case. At 10:42, emergency calls began flooding in, detailing that the hull had collapsed and that people were missing. Being well prepared for these sort of things, 2 minutes later, the first ambulance arrived on scene. The building looked in such a state. Hundreds of people were bleeding and injured, and some had already died. In the next couple of hours that followed, 300 or so guests were ferried to the surrounding hospitals, but sadly, some were still missing. The only place that they could be was under the debris. While heavy machinery was commissioned to help dig through the rubble, the building was collapsing all round, forcing rescuers to dig using their hand tools, little by little.
Sorry for the cut. I had to deal with something quickly.
"48 hours later, 3 people were pulled alive from the concrete, and then the rescue turned into a recovery. Tragically, in total, 23 people fell to their deaths, while another 380 were injured to varying degrees. All of the dead were friends and family, including the groom's 80-year-old grandfather and his 3-year-old second cousin. The bride and the groom survived, the bride sustaining a nasty broken pelvis. This disaster was among the deadliest civil disasters in Israeli history, with only a forest fire and a crowd crush carrying a higher death toll. In the years following the disaster, legal actions were taken against those responsible. The owners were found guilty of manslaughter and received 2.5 years imprisonment. Eli Ron, the engineer who invented the Pau-Cal method, and 3 other engineers who built the Versailles wedding hall, were found guilty of manslaughter. While the engineers received a sentence of 22 months, Eli Ron was sentenced to 4 years in prison.
Interesting. So he got jail time because he invented the thing that screwed all this up in the first place? I'd assume, I guess, because he created the method that made it so it was able to collapse, he goes to jail for 4 years. Interesting. Deserved, but I just didn't think he'd actually go to jail for it.
But while the creator of the Pau-Cal method was jailed, thousands of buildings were already built using this method.
Yeah?
The work now started to identify those that needed repair or that just needed demolishing. After the tragedy,
I thought so. This was banned, and then there was some that had to be reinforced in that. So I was correct. I thought so.
the entire Versailles wedding hall was demolished and a memorial was put in place. However, it would take over 15 years for any of the victims to be provided any compensation.
Wow.
In September of 2016, while making it very clear that they weren't admitting blame, the state announced that it will compensate the victims 120 million, or around 32 million US dollars, distributing the cash among the 428 plaintiffs. Up to this very day, the work continues to ensure tragedies like this don't occur again. But there's still a hell of a lot of work to do, and as always, I'm interested in all of your thoughts below. This horrifying entry begins on the morning of November the 30th, 2021, in the heart of Taichung, Taiwan. That fateful morning, a 50-year-old worker named Zheng arrived at work. Now, Zheng worked for a vital pipeline initiative undertaken by Taiwan Water Corporation. Okay. Zheng's job would be to repair and maintain the water pipes all across Taichung, nestled deep within the ground. That day, at approximately 11:30 a.m., 50-year-old Zheng was sat atop a large steel pipe in the ground.
Oh, it's this. God damn it. Stop pressing the stupid buttons. I keep pressing the wrong freaking button. Damn. Anyways. It's this clip. I know exactly what he hits. If he causes the pipe, he very stupidly handled this. I'm gonna be honest. For a guy who's had so much experience, guy handled this really, but I'm sorry, I would have thought he was stupid for this, no matter what situation that happened. Like, that's just not how you deal with a pipe.
This is when this nightmarish footage was recorded, captured by another labourer that day, stationed above the trench. The video showed Zeng sitting on a large pipe, hammer in hand. You can see he's cut out a part of the pipe, and he was intending to knock out this portion of the pipe. In the video, he can be seen precariously smashing down on the pipe with all of his might. Now, I know nothing about health and safety, but would you not bang the pipe from being stood next to it? I don't know why he was sat on top.
That's my thought! Why are you on top of it? Did you not think? Did no one come to him and be like, hey man, I'd move far away from this thing. You might break, you might fall, you're gonna, like, this could go horribly wrong, man. Just don't sit right above the part you're trying to break off.
I have no idea, but each blow echoed through the air until, all of a sudden, in an abrupt, bone-chilling twist of fate, the pipe gave way. The sudden shift sent Zeng's balance off, and within a blink of an eye, gravity took its relentless hold, drawing him feet first into the gaping maw of the pipe. Literally 1 second he was here, and the next he wasn't. And just like that, he was gone, leaving his colleagues in utter shock. Now, the pipe in question looked to be going downstream, with extremely fast-flowing water inside. Falling inside looked like a zero chance of survival. Later that day, the pipe was cut open and Zeng was recovered from within. Sadly, he had sustained terrible injuries. Paramedics summoned to the scene could only confirm the inevitable. Zeng had died. Now, this accident was totally avoidable, in my opinion. They say safety measures have been written in blood, but surely someone should have seen this coming. There wasn't much
I would have seen it come by a mile away. What were they thinking?
the co-workers could do, but why were they recording him instead of advising him otherwise? There's just so many questions, but so little answers. I can only imagine what was going through his head within the few seconds that he would have been still alive within the pipe. You've seen what water pipes look like. They're far from smooth on the inside. He would have been violently ripped through like a cheese grater. It just doesn't bear thinking about. When you look at fast-flowing floodwater, it looks like, well, water. Almost as if it's worth having a swim. But what you...
No, I don't. No, I'm sorry. I've never looked at fast-flowing floodwater and thought I want to have a swim. That's never crossed my mind once in my life. I've never had to experience floodwater. But anytime I've seen it in videos, and not one time in my life have I thought, man, I wish I could go for a swim in that. Nope, never has happened.
Not seeing is the assortment of sharp, heavy objects carried by the strength of the currents, and the sheer amount of raw sewage that floodwaters can stir up. It's filthy dirty. It's best to never underestimate any fast-flowing water, especially floodwater, and to find alternate routes should a road be flooded. This entry begins in India on August the 13th, 2017. In the days leading up to this day, India and the surrounding countries were being absolutely battered by monsoons. These treacherous forces of nature, which lasted until September of 2017, caused widespread flooding all across India, affecting 45 million residents and destroying almost 700,000 homes, leaving approximately 1,419 people dead. A brief window into the horror was captured on a small road in the Arya district of Biharon. The haunting video begins showing a raging brown river racing underneath what looked to have been a road, now reduced to a small plane of asphalt. In the video, the road can be seen swallowed by copious amounts of floodwater. It even shows a tree was being dragged under the road, so just imagine the power that was being swept under there. The camera then pans to a large group of people eager to cross the road. However, as you can see, there isn't really a road left. People can be seen precariously running across the road as it's literally crumbling underneath their feet, putting their lives in direct danger. Falling into these kinds of waters would be a death sentence. Of course, any sane person would find another route, but it looks like in this case, there possibly wasn't one. If that road crumbled, they weren't getting home that day, possibly leading them to take more risks than they perhaps should have done. The video continues, showing more and more people crossing. Soon, cracks begin to show on the road, and it looks like it's just about to collapse. Surely you'd think no one is going to try and cross it now, but of course, one family tries. The three of them tumbled into the raging waters below, sweeping them out into the murky floodwaters. Looking out into where the family had been swept, nothing could be done. Despite a large search and rescue attempt, their bodies were never recovered and remain missing to this very day.
Oh man, look, that was a very risky game you played when you were doing this. When you were doing that, like, looking at the group, I also don't know, because the way it looks like they're just kind of playing a fucking game. The way it looks, because like people are just standing there trying to cross, and no one seems to be like. It's not like one group leaves and then they go about their business. It seems like they're just going back and forth between the fucking pathway. It seems kind of, I don't know what the goal was here at this point.
Gender reveal parties are a type of party held during pregnancy to reveal the gender of the upcoming baby to family and friends. There's something that have popped up.
Why did she? Hold on.
Be held during pregnancy to reveal the gender of.
Why does she look so disappointed? She's wearing blue. She wanted a boy. And she is so unhappy that she's getting a boy.
The upcoming baby to family and friends. There's something that have popped up in the early 2000s, and due to social media, they quickly took mainstream attention. But now in 2023, gender reveal parties are very common. Most go well without any hitches. But some gender reveal parties have been known to go terribly wrong.
I don't understand. Maybe it's just me. I just don't understand the point of them. Maybe it's just me though. Maybe I just don't get that. But like, I don't see the appeal. Why don't they have a party where I can just ask them what thing of it? Because who's throwing the party? It has to be you, right? Like, it has to be the parents throwing the party. Now, I don't understand. I just don't understand the point of them.
Leading to the death of innocent people. For example,
I feel like it's just an unnecessary amount of effort you're throwing just for a party, just for unnecessary reasons.
In September of 2020, a gender reveal pyrotechnic device started the El Dorado fire in California, leading to thousands of acres burnt and the death of one firefighter.
Is that what happened? Are we figured out if that's what happened currently?
Even on this channel, I've already covered a bizarre death in Iowa where a family accidentally created a pipe bomb in an attempt to create a colourful explosive device that they could post online. It exploded and the shrapnel hit a woman and killed her. However, on the 2nd of September 2023, another tragedy occurred while a baby reveal party was ongoing for a baby in Navalato, Mexico. That day, a Piper PA-25 crop duster plane was hired. This small plane is actually classed as an agricultural aircraft, as it's usually used for the spraying of crops and towing. However, that day, it was going to be used for something slightly different. Instead of fertilizer inside, they placed pink powder. They planned to drop this while performing a trick over the family celebrating below. So that day, the family turned up and eagerly awaited what was to come. In the viral footage captured, it shows the parents-to-be stood by giant letters spelling "Oh baby."
See, this is unnecessary. This is so much effort for a reveal of a gender when you can just tell people. You can say, hey, we're gonna have a girl. Like, that's all you need to say. Why do we go through this unnecessary effort? Is it all for online clout? Because that's just sad. There's so much effort for online fame. I could never go do all this for online. It's just so unnecessary.
With the plane coming right towards them in the distance. Moments later, as the plane came over the party, the pilot released the pink powder and then pulled up on the controls. Then, this happened.
Oh my god!
During it, the left wing detached from the fuselage, causing the aircraft to plummet to the ground. Astonishingly, as the plane comes to a crash just behind the party, the camera pans back to see the guests cheering and celebrating, completely unaware that the plane had even crashed. Local authorities told CNN that paramedics treated the pilot on scene before rushing him to the local hospital, where sadly he succumbed to his injuries. Now watching the footage back, it's kind of eerie at the fact that they were celebrating all while the pilot was dying. While of course it's tragic that the pilot died, this whole situation could have been even worse. Just imagine what would have happened if the plane had have crashed into the crowd.
Yes, it could have been worse, but it also could have been, like, it just didn't need to happen. I feel like I've just found a new thing that, like, everyone does that I just don't understand, and it's freaking gender reveal parties.
The local authorities warned against using similar planes in these stunts, but who knows what will go wrong next. This horrifying story occurred almost 8 years to the day, on the night before Halloween, on the 30th of October 2015, in Bucharest, Romania. On that cold Friday night, around 10 PM, approximately 500 people gathered at a club called Club Collective, nestled in the heart of Bucharest.
I already have a guess on what's about to happen. You said a club, I immediately have a guess. I'm gonna guess a fire that people can't get out of. Because it's the entranceway and exits are very shit. Am I gonna be correct?
This nightclub, born from the ashes of an old shoe factory in 2013, had become a local hotspot for local rock bands, drawing enthusiasts from far and wide. Inside the club, as the crowd chanted, the moment that they'd all been waiting for had arrived. The stage lit up with the appearance of the popular local metal band, Goodbye to Gravity, performing tracks from their highly anticipated second album. Despite its intended capacity of just 80 seated people, many witnesses attested that the venue often swelled to accommodate up to 700. Thanks to its imperfect layout, stemming from its factory origins, that night only one of the 3 entrances was in use, funneling guests through a makeshift corridor, gated by double doors, of which only one was open. Before the concert kicked off, the band thrilled the audience with an exciting announcement. They had installed customized lighting, also known as pyrotechnic effects.
Nailed it! I fucking nailed it! I knew it from the beginning. It's always like, once you go, it starts in a club, I'm like, fire, it's a fire. Nothing else usually goes wrong in a club except a fire.
And some scening elements within the club. They had installed these on pillars next to the stage. The reason for this installation was, and I quote, to bring to life the science fiction artwork of the new album. These pyrotechnics, installed earlier that day, were positioned horizontally, facing towards the club, towards the crowd, a very dangerous setup. As the night went on, it was completely normal. The first activation of these fireworks went off without a hitch. However, at precisely 22:32, it was time for the second round. As they ignited, sparks shot towards the audience, inadvertently landing on insulating foam attached to the pillar. These sparks instantly set it ablaze. All of this was captured on video.
La mulți ani! Asta nu era un plan. Are cineva extintor?
Initially underestimated, the flames rapidly escalated, catching everyone off guard. Within moments, the fire had leapt up the pillar and was now racing through the wooden roof space, engulfing the wooden structure and foam insulation. The combustion of the artificial foam released huge amounts of toxic gases into the room. And with only one fire extinguisher and no sprinklers and no fire escape method, panic ensued as people began rushing towards the only exit. When they got there, they found that it was only partially open. This bottleneck, of course, led to a stampede, trapping many inside the club. This entire sequence of events unfolded in the space of just 60 seconds. It was that quick. Amongst the scream and the cries, people trampled one another, fighting desperately to escape the inferno. Just 2 minutes after the blaze had started, the power failed in the club, sending the club and the container entrance into darkness. So just imagine this. You're trying desperately to escape from a club that's set on fire. There's smoke and toxic fumes in the air. You can barely breathe. You can barely see.
That's horror movie shit right there. That is fucking horror movie shit right there.
But you know you need to escape. It was pretty much every man for themselves. What was about to follow would haunt those who survived forever. As the crowd struggled forward towards the lone exit, the second door succumbed to the pressure and broke from its hinges. This rush of oxygen only fueled the flames behind them, reaching temperatures of over 1,000 degrees. As the flames exploded with the influx of oxygen, those at the front heard the horrifying screams at the back as the fire caught them. By 22:35, 5 minutes after the fire had started, the flames were now visible from outside, and the sounds of anguished screaming echoed through the night. Bystanders watched in horror as charred figures stumbled from the smoking club, their injuries unimaginable. Many would not make it. Some survivors who had managed to escape actually ventured back inside to rescue friends, only to be overcome by the deadly fumes and faint and perish on their second attempt. Firefighters and police arrived approximately 11 minutes after the fire began. By then, most of the tragedy had occurred.
To think there were people who ran back in. They're lucky to survive and they run back in to save other people and end up dead. Like, that's insane.
When they got to the club, they found a scene straight out of a nightmare. Hundreds writhed in agony, their clothes charred and their bodies seared. By now, a pile had begun to form near the exit, composed of those who had come so close only to succumb to their injuries or poisonous gases. Some people suffered fractures and concussions, and these people were transported to hospitals. Locals rushed in to offer basic first aid, water and blankets, and in total, 146 people were hospitalized, many in serious condition. The death toll climbed steadily. By March of 2017, it had reached 64, with the last survivor succumbing to their burns in the hospital. Vocalist Andre Galoot remained the sole survivor of the band.
Wow. And just think this all would happen if they not had done pyrotech. Because I would think you do pyrotechnics, and maybe that's just a thing where I've never seen it. I would feel like you don't do pyrotechnics in like a big venue. like a club you know can handle it, not some random club with like 60 people. But maybe I'm wrong.
An investigation into the fire's cause revealed a litany of negligence. The club was overcrowded, it used outdoor fireworks indoors, and to make it worse, the whole club was lined with highly flammable neoprene soundproofing. The complete lack of safety measures, with the fact there was only one exit and no sprinklers or windows, compounded the tragedy. To make matters worse, the club had been granted an operating license without proper inspection by firefighters, and most shockingly, the owners knew that the soundproofing was flammable, but chose to keep it and save money, insisting that the pillars were fireproof. Tragically, they were not, and this decision cost 64 innocent lives. Candles and memorials adorned the club's exterior. The ensuing outpouring of anger and grief evolved into nationwide protests that spanned 10 days, ultimately leading to the resignation of the Prime Minister. Now, I must touch on this particularly tragic twist, but it's not really related to the fire. 13 victims did not succumb directly to their injuries. Instead, these people fell victim to bacterial infections. When families asked to relocate their loved ones for better healthcare, their pleas were rejected. The Romanian government assured people that their healthcare was on par with everyone else's global standards. This, however, was a lie. Medical professionals came forward, revealing that the hospital had been using heavily diluted sanitizer. One particular company, named Hexi Pharma, had allegedly watered down a 13% concentration sanitizer to a mere 3%. Then, to get rid of them, they illicitly offloaded it to a hospital after bribing the managers. This revelation eroded public trust in the entire healthcare system. Apparently, the dilution of the sanitizer had been ongoing for years. In 2016, local law enforcement sought to arrest Dan Condria, the owner of Hexi Pharma. However, they were never able to because he crashed his car committing suicide on May the 22nd. In 2017, the owners of Club Collective and the pyrotechnics supplier faced court. After 5 years in court, on May the 12th, 2022, the court finally handed down sentences. It gave 6 years to the nightclub owners and 11 years to the fireworks company. They were all jailed under death by negligence. But that is the end of this video.
Ladies and gentlemen, that is it for this reaction video. Let me know what you think in the comments. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Thank you all for watching. I'll see you all for the next one.